I'm your host, Lou Carter, founder of Most Loved Workplace. The Leader Show brings together executives and leading thinkers to bring into focus our collective purpose and passion for what we do and where we do it. The search for occupational fulfillment, happiness, pride, and passion starts here. Tom Smith is the founder and CEO of GWI, a renowned audience research company based in the UK. GWI is currently ranked number 55 on the 2023 Global Top 100 Most Loved Workplaces and number 17 on the 2023 UK Top 100 Most Loved Workplaces list. Tom attended the University of Sheffield and worked at Universal McCann as a research manager and then head of consumer futures, EMEA, where he focused on the impact of the internet and communications technology. In 2009, Tom went on to found GWI, which is market research, but for the modern world, instant access to data, which represents the views, behaviors, and interests of nearly 3 billion consumers. I'm excited to talk today with Tom about how he became a most loved workplace, why it's important to him, and why it's a big part of his business success. It is awesome today to have Tom Smith on with us today, CEO of GWI. Wow, it's awesome to have him. He is brilliant, number one. So I'm really glad to have him on because he is democratizing market research to be accessible for the masses and taking this incredible amount of data, 3 billion, right, Tom, consumer market research, and making it what would cost millions of dollars to come into a SaaS product. And so he's really made this incredible for us all. And he's not only just doing this incredible thing and had massive hockey stick growth, he's now taking care of his people and culture, their well-being, and making that a big part of his success, because Tom knows, and he'll tell you this, that when people believe and understand and feel resonant with the brand and what they offer, he'll be able to serve clients even better. So Tom, it is great to have you on here today. Welcome to the Leader Show on Newsweek.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can't wait to talk about this because there's so much we could talk about today. We could talk about AI. We could talk about all of the wonderful things around well-being, right? Of course, and organizational values. Of course, you're here because of organizational values, because you're a top most loved workplace. So I want to hear about the growth, right, of how you became so successful, number one, and what that is all about with your product, and then dive into a little bit about your organizational values, about well-being, and how that's important for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's quite a lot to unpack there. But I think you said now we're looking after our people, but I think it's like people are integral to the success, and you wouldn't be able to scale a company without having people really on board for the journey. That's super important. So, I mean, foundationally, the business has been able to achieve a level of scale because we're solving a fundamental problem for customers, right? So basically, in this kind of the global digital age that we operate in, it's a huge opportunity for companies, right? You can build products, you can create services, you can create content, you can sell that, deliver it, serve people, all over the world. It's a kind of unprecedented level of opportunity. The challenge with that is it's quite hard because you're dealing with people, customers that are not on your doorstep, you don't know, right? So we need more insight, more data, more understanding about people than ever. But the tools to do that have not moved with the times, right? So, most companies would employ market research. They would create a survey. They'd go to a company, create a survey, and collect data about current and future customers. Now, in the age that we live in now, to do that at scale for the people you can really sell to, it's going to take a very long time, right? It could take months, if not years. It could cost millions of dollars. Nobody has that time or money, and the world moves very quickly, right? So what we're trying to do and what we're doing for customers is collecting huge volume of data. We survey millions of people around the world. That equates to 3 billion people. We put that data into a software platform, and we make it immediately available to anyone, regardless of skill set. It doesn't matter if they're a market researcher. And in fact, most of our users are not market researchers. They could be from any kind of background. They've got salespeople, professionals, HR. anyone that needs to use data really to help underpin their jobs and make decisions. And so the opportunity for us and the problem we're solving is making that mass scale data available and accessible, making it easy to use, making it cheap, right? So you can buy access to this set of data that costs tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to build over time, and you're getting it for the price of software, right? So there's a big, and you mentioned in the intro, this is all about democratizing market research and making it easy, right? So we're building this massive consumer research platform. And that was a big problem. And it's the reason we're here, it's taken a long time to solve that problem, right? So I started a business in 2009, spent 9 years bootstrapping the business, and I've been through all phases. I've worked on my own, I've had a small team. We've now raised quite a lot of money and scaled the business up substantially. And we now have over 500 people working in GWI. It's not a big company. So I've been through all stages of that experience. And, you don't get anywhere without having people on the journey who believe in it. So I think that's the foundation of being successful. So yeah, that's kind of, and I think, we talked a bit about this before, is to create a good culture that is successful for the business. The main lever for a CEO, I think, and the founders, is setting a very clear vision and mission, right? And having people believe in that story, because they're going to commit a large part of their life to the company. You need to feel like they're part of something that is going to make a difference, it's going to grow, it's going to be something.
And you talked about this, Tom, a little bit in that it's this cultures at scale, right? So you've been through these 4 different iterations, and people coming with you all the way up to the top, and then making that even either sustaining or growing from there, right? Having a most loved workplace common culture helps with that, right? So that people can connect into that common element.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and actually, when you're in the early days, creating a positive work culture it's not simple, but it's very different, right? You're in the same room, you all know each other. It's very easy to articulate. When you get to a late stage, as we are now, it's a very different situation, right? To create a great working culture that is, it's the most important thing for success, I'd say. So, I'll give you some kind of the things that we're doing now to really help develop that in the business. I talked about the vision and mission and strategy. So we spend a lot of time talking about that to the company, both in onboarding and training and town halls and regular communication from me. And I think it's important everybody understands that. The other core thing we do to get that sense of ownership and feeling part of that is we use share, like everybody in the business gets share options. So everyone should understand our mission and vision, and being able to try and build, democratize this product in a very traditional industry, do something different, and that can help change the world in a small way, but also be part of that physically and through share options. And I think that's a really important 2 layers to building a culture where everyone's included, right? And everyone feels part of. Beyond that, we've done quite a lot of work to codify values. We've worked with, we have 3 core values, which I didn't write. The teams wrote, our people around the business wrote these, and they've been through various forms through the years. In the early years, we didn't write any values down. You just get on with it, and everyone kind of gets a sense of what you're trying to do. And as you grow, you need to write this stuff down and make it integral to how you communicate to the business, right? So we have 3 values. One is think big, which is all about being entrepreneurial, coming up with new ideas, challenging the status quo, trying to do stuff different. We have another one, is to ask why. We want everyone to be inquisitive, ask questions, to understand what they're doing. And I think this is an important part of the belonging and understanding why you're on the journey. And the last one is about show respect, which sounds obvious, but it's really important to say that, we want to be an environment where everyone's respected. And what that means is there's transparency from me to top, all the teams. There's good collaboration. People want to work work in an honest and open way and actually want to, work together to achieve something. So that's very important to codify that and to keep communicating that, across the business. And that's something we do all the time.
Yeah, Tom, that's exactly Spark, which is aligning values and collaborating across the enterprise, keeping your vision aligned with everybody else's vision. Respect is the R in it, actually, feeling and giving it, and then finally achieving together, which is really, the why and thinking big, right? I mean, so it's exactly connected to it, and ensuring that everyone gets there with your communication as well consistently. You mentioned you communicate. What are your methods for communication, then consistent communication for you?
So, I mean, these have evolved through the years as companies got bigger. And, particularly as we went through COVID and switched to more, hybrid, we work in a hybrid format, which I think is great. And, we do a lot more with town halls, and we'll do a town hall monthly where we're really transparent on what's going on in the business, new initiatives, reiterate what's happening with strategy and how the business is performing. And we're very open and honest about that, which I think is important. We do Q&As with the management team in town halls. We've done these digitally through Slack. We've done them in person. We've done them, through video. And we'll answer any question that comes. So sometimes those questions are difficult, but we'll have to answer them. I think that transparency and being clear about what's happening is really important. Beyond that, we do a lot, there's Q&As within teams. And myself, and the rest of the leadership team spend a lot of time meeting the teams, and I travel a lot to the other offices and, make sure everyone gets time with the executive team. I think is really important. You don't want to be invisible somewhere. You got to be, you got to put the face time in. You got to meet the people. You got to walk the floors, say hello. So all of that's very important. And I suppose it's, we've done, we've brought the whole company together as well fairly recently. That was fantastic to get everyone from all different offices in one place. And that was a really great thing to do. And I think it felt very meaningful for me as well to see everyone in one place, and the kind of the commonalities between the offices and the people and different cultures, but some sort of element of shared culture across them is great to see.
Tom, you've had that experience with various cultures, EMEA, Europe, throughout the world, and seen that. That must be of great help. I like how you mentioned, sort of don't be a ghost, right? Don't hide.
Hiding has changed. Now people are working all over the place. It just, you have to be visible in different ways. So I've done lots of things, like we've done interviews with different people around the business. I'm very present on the company Slack. You just have to be out there and in front of the team. I think it's very important.
And that goes back to, tried and true principles management by walking around, right? I mean, we forget about these things, and leading by walking around. People value that leadership principle, and listening, hearing, being there, and being able to do something about it in real time often. We have a CEO of a Muscle workplace who actually goes to meet some people at their car door and says, "I'm going to be following you today to see how you're doing." So, and then creates action plans to help them get an even more higher performing day, or a better day for them. And that it sounds like that's where you're going, is don't be invisible, be there, help people get in front of them. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, just be open to. I want to be accessible. I want people to be able to come and ask me, just to want to come and speak to me, ask me questions, talk to me about the business, get to know me. I think in a founder-led business, I think that's particularly important because your imprint is on the company. So yeah, I haven't gone as far as following people around the office yet, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right about founder-led people. I think find it hard to realize that it actually is coming from us. I mean, this is actually like our investment, our belief, right? I mean, that if we go out to dinner at night, we pay for it. Every day we pay to ensure that all of our dreams come true. And it's an enormous responsibility we have to employees. It's enormous. And not just employees, but to the success of the company and the success of our consumers. It's a lot of pressure.
Can be. Could also be a lot of fun.
Tell me about the fun, because I want to get to the well-being aspect. Yeah, because the well-being is, I like how we said that in the pressure, well-being and pressure go hand in hand typically, right? So tell me how you focus on that, what you do for well-being.
For well-being?
Yeah, employee well-being.
For employee well-being. So, I mean, we it's a big part of, I mean, I think all the stuff I talked about creating that open, inclusive culture is really important for well-being. We have a fantastic people and culture team who are very focused on employees and creating, we provide a lot of tools and services for people who, if they want coaching or development or, those things have existed in the business. We do a lot of training for the teams and leadership training, which has been, has a really big impact on the company, getting people to really open up about how they want to, run the business, how they want to be part of the business, how to operate in it, what are the values we should be operating as a leader, how do we deal with feedback. I think, helping people to navigate that step of being a leader is super challenging, right? And you don't get much training for it. And that creates a big knock-on effect for well-being. So you've got people who know how to operate in those roles, but they create happy teams and know how to provide feedback. I think that's really important. And I think a lot of well-being comes from that, feeling great about the business and feeling good about what we do. We do all the things that we should be doing in terms of bringing employees, giving them space to collaborate and share. And we do events outside the business. We do events in the evening, and we do lots of things in the office. We celebrate all the sort of big, marquee events through the year, and we bring speakers in and all of those things that help, help people develop and understand how to operate and feel better about work. I think another core part of well-being is our operating model, and I feel very passionate about the value of hybrid working and the flexibility that enables for people and the ownership over their own personal ways of working and schedules. I think is very empowering. And I think that's a big part of well-being as well. And it's really empowering in terms of who you can hire for roles, because if people have more flexibility about where they work and when, it can open up, it enables to have a much more diverse workforce, and maybe bring far more women back into the workforce, to have far more diverse workforce in terms of age, and we can hire in more locations. I think this is a really important part of, driving well-being through the business. So
you can hire some of the most talented people in the world just by virtue of having them on Slack. And
100%. Yeah, it's an incredible advantage. And I think it's particularly interesting we're located in some very difficult places to live. Like, we have an office in London and New York. They're stressful environments. You have long commutes. They're expensive. To be flexible around that is a bigger unlock for people, I think. And it can really help manage, the work life versus personal life versus demands of family, and all of those parts together. I think it goes a long way to driving the quality of life and well-being.
It requires a founder who understands it and values it like you. You value that experience that people have with family, with understanding that we have. It's not just about at work. It's about our life in general, right? Yeah. And more people are saying that they value. I mean, that's the thing. They value work comes in number 5, 6. And they're
high up the list on that. But yeah, I know it's no. I just think having from personal lived experience. I worked in advertising in the days when there was no flexible working whatsoever. Absolutely nothing. And it's a grind, and I don't think you get the best out of people. you want people to be creative, you want them to show up, you want them to be energized, you want them to have time to do quiet work, you want them to do collaboration work. Different environments enable those things. And one of the things that I've, really energized me to want to leave and be an entrepreneur was that kind of sense of ownership over myself, and my, how I work and exactly where I work, when I work was kind of something under my power. And I feel like that's now something we can offer everyone to a degree. And now for the business, there's lots of good reasons to do it as well, because as you said, you can hire, you opens up the potential for hiring talent is huge, like if you have flexibility.
In that philosophy you have around well-being, which, and we all, it's the only way to sort of get to the forefront of everything is really that if you're always sprinting, right? And you think about this in sprints, virtue of agile and project management, you never get a chance to look at the big picture. You never get a chance to ask why, right? And, that it becomes even harder to really show respect because we're constantly running and gunning and getting what we need. And we run out of steam. You can't sprint a marathon.
Well, this is true. But I think it's particularly a case in a growth business where you're going through, and I've felt this firsthand, but I can see it in employees. It's like every year, 2 years, the business is very different. It's always moving. It's always changing. There's no sense of like calm. There's a constant evolution, and there's a need to keep evolving to get to the next, phase level. Some people love that. Some people find it challenging, right? So, part of like helping people to navigate that is some of the stuff we talked about, which is all around, the workshops and the training and getting people to really understand how to be leaders through that experience. And a lot of it's in the ways of working and, giving people the other side of that, so you have the flexibility around it, but we expect a lot and the business will constantly change and it's a challenge, but that's the nature of a growth business.
By virtue, we have leaders who can, run and sprint constantly, right? But the majority share, 80% of people, don't work well with constant anxiety. They just don't. Anxiety doesn't always produce it. Sometimes it does with sprints. Sometimes it enables us to, and that's why your values are so spot on. It gives us that chance to think big, ask why, and show respect to get to where we're at.
There's good anxiety and bad anxiety though, right? So there's like a little bit of stress sometimes is okay. It can drive good outcomes and it gives you a bit of energy and
it's also a relationship with anxiety.
Yeah.
How we perceive anxiety, right? Because anxiety can drive our performance. Stress can drive our performance if we properly look at what it is. There was a study about stress, right, that showed that people didn't die of stress related to heart attacks. People died of the perception of stress related to heart attacks.
Yeah.
So it's actually so if we looked at stress as producing more outcomes and that we can accept it and breathe through it, through our heart, through our minds, we're actually better able to produce more.
That's true. Just got to make sure it's not negative stress.
It's not negative stress.
Another really kind of key part of that, creating positive stress energy. I think it's giving everyone very clear goals and objectives. And that's, some of the challenges we have with scaling the business are where that's not being clear, or you get teams that have, they kind of cross over in certain areas, and there's a bit of ambiguity about who's doing what. And I think that can create a lot of swirl and stress, and there's not a sense of ownership. So it's very important to have clear ownership over every aspect of the business, but make sure and try and minimize those kind of areas of crossover. You're not sure who's supposed to do X or Y.
Having clear alignment exercises.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You go spin around in circles and you waste hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars by doing
Absolutely. Well, we've actually, if you look at our higher level, we kind of, as a bootstrap, it's for many years about really writing down what the purpose and the vision and the mission were. It's just something you kind of talked about, and everyone sort of understood it. As you got bigger, people get more disconnected from that because it's a big company. So, we were very deliberate in terms of writing down what's the purpose, why do we exist, what's our mission, what's our goals, and really being very crystal clear on what they are. And I think that helps. That you can see it filter down into everyone's work because they're super aligned on what.
In the beginning, you could do that, right? With more iteratively, we get in, we figure it out, we look at what our customer needs, and it shifts and it adapts and it's agile. But then we get big, right? And it's like, oh, we have to do this exercise of what we used to do in a very random, organic way, in a more intentional way.
Yeah, totally. And it took a while for us to get that right. I think now we've done a really good job on that, and we've codified it all. I said the teams, articulating it constantly. It's in all the language. It's a core part of onboarding. We've really ramped up the onboarding we do in the business. And you can't talk about these things enough, I think. And you have to keep reiterating it.
Same thing over and over again, up to 18 times. They said that people actually do not have it sink in from a very blank tabula rasa state for 18 times. So that's how many nuances there are to communications and different ways of actually, it's not language anymore that's separating us. It's our own cognitive biases. It's the own way we think, our perceptions, and we're environment. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
This is great. Well, wow, Tom Smith, this is awesome. You've been great today on the Leader Show. We've so enjoyed having you. I've enjoyed having you. You've said it so much, so much wisdom for everybody to learn from. Whether you're a founder, CEO, leader, or employee, now you get the beginnings and where it comes from and the thinking around it and how important it is to get aligned, stay aligned, stay true to our goals, understand what the concept of stress really means to get aligned, and our new relationships with how we achieve, right? And how it's also important to be respectful of your own time, and right? And ask those, think bigs, ask why, and show respect daily, which is a big part of who you are and what your culture is all about. Tom Smith, GWI, awesome founder and a great person leading his way. Wow. 3 billion consumers, giving research, democratizing it for everyone today. Thanks for joining us, Tom Smith.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.